Welcome to today's webinar on AI-driven requirements engineering. My name is Justyna Owłasiuk, and it's great to have you all here today. As we all know, AI is already changing how we work. The key question is how to apply it effectively. Engineering teams face growing complexity in managing, validating, and tracing requirements. That's exactly why we are here today, to explore real-world AI applications, its future in requirements engineering, and also practical implementation strategies. And we are joined by two industry leaders today. Dr. Siegmar Haasis, founder and CEO of HaasisDEC and former CIO of Mercedes-Benz R&D, with decades of experience in digital transformation and system engineering. And the second speaker, Manan Arora, CEO of Arorian Technologies, who has spent over 15 years helping companies integrate AI into their engineering workflows. And now, one quick note before we begin. If you have any questions, maybe we already have some questions or you will have during the webinar, feel free to drop them in the Q&A section here in Teams. We will answer them at the end of the meeting. All right, Ziggy, maybe let's start with you. Could you tell us what's your experience with AI in engineering in organizations?
So, Justyna and Manan, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation to this webinar. Thank you for having the opportunity to share my experience in digital transformation and in AI. Like you mentioned, I spent 27 years at Mercedes. I moved every 2 to 3 years to next location, next responsibility, pretty much in engineering, in R&D, in research, but IT as well. Second last position was CIO, Greater China, overseas, first Singapore, then Beijing. And the last role at Mercedes, not 3, not 5, but 7 years as the CIO R&D. Then 3.5 years back, I decided to leave the company and start my own HaasisDEC, now supporting not just Mercedes, but all OEMs, tier 1 suppliers and tech companies as well. Focusing now on AI, and AI is one central technology in digital transformation. What I've learned during my 27 years at Mercedes and now 4 years with other customers, focus, if you do a big change, a change program, focus on the value first. Of course, there is why, how, and what, but always start with the why. This is true for digital transformation. This is true for AI as well. And value creation means time, cost, quality. Just a short story, nearly 8 years ago, when Ola Kalenius asked me, hey, Sigi, now you want to have a big packet of money, a budget to introduce the digital twin. How can I measure the value out of the digital twin, knowing he's expecting KPIs? And I said, Ola, it's 30, 12, 1 ready. 30 meant I will reduce the hardware prototype cost by 30%. And this is still the biggest driver for cost. 12 meant I want to accelerate the whole product creation process by 12 months, starting from specification down to production, knowing the OEMs used in the past 5 years, currently 4 years, target is 3 years or lesser for the whole product creation process. And time cost to measure it. Quality is a bit tricky to measure. This is, you can see a not good quality if you have to postpone your market entry date, the start of production. So no postponement. So 30, 12, 1 ready was my answer. And this is now driving me when I'm discussing with tech companies, tier 1 and OEMs, focusing on measurable values. This is true for AI as well. Also there, it's not just the hard facts, it's PMT, process, methods, tools, of course, important, but I would say just half of the medal. The other half of the medal are soft facts. Soft fact means it's a culture, it's the mindset, it's the organization, it's the team. Do not forget the second half. Only if you are addressing both of them, you are successful with the migration to AI. AI, it's not just, let's say, the Gen AI. It's not just deep learning, machine learning. It's also other categories like knowledge graphs, ontologies, stuff like that. But first, before we jump in the AI, to your homework. Homework means data. So first question, is data available? Second question, do we have access to the data, to the right data? And that means what I've learned with APIs, direct access, not point to point, but then APIs. And third is data quality. Data quality is a discipline. Make sure you have the right quality of data. And then you can start focusing on the right use cases, business cases. Today, we are not addressing the whole V cycle. Today, we are focusing on systems engineering, and there especially, Manan, there we are discussing requirements engineering, requirements management. So from an AI perspective, Manan, what's your view? What's your experience in AI?
So first of all, Siki, I really like the fact how you explained that value is the main focus, right, in AI. So let me start with that. 15 years back, I was working for a company, a huge energy company, and they had this big gas turbines. Okay, so our task was to predict any defect before it happens. So it was part of an AI. What you mentioned, it's not always generative AI. It was more on the prediction part, and that time prediction was the most important to save money, reduce cost. The second use case, or the second project that we worked on, it was also 10 years ago. It was for the foundry companies. So they were having molds, and they will put that molds, and that our task was to predict what is the right temperature, what is the right atmosphere for to reduce the waste when we are doing your molding. So that was also that time a kind of an AI. And at that time AI was not that in, so we didn't call it AI as such. And fast forward today, you see AI everywhere, so in all day-to-day operations. So today the products are getting more complex, so you have, software, hardware, and so much compliance. So complexity is growing day by day. So I think that's what I have noticed. And Ziggy, I would like to ask you, how do you see these complexities in requirements engineering because of the growing product complexities?
Like said, now we are addressing along the V cycle one area, and that this is one out of several domains where we can use AI. I created there a map, so it's one out of 25 subdomains. If you are focusing now on systems engineering, and everything starts with requirement engineering. What I've learned, not just the 27 years at Mercedes OEM, but now also supporting, advising tier one suppliers. There are two different terms or views on requirements. From an OEM perspective, you have the vehicle requirements top, you have the system requirements, function requirements, and you have the component requirements. All of them then are captured and documented in specifications. But this is only one view, one dimension. If you look from a tier one supplier perspective to the requirements, of course, these are the external requirements coming from the OEM. But if you are a tier one supplier, you have your own product portfolio and your own requirements on those. So therefore, you have two-dimensional aspects to manage in requirements engineering. If it comes to requirements, one of the most important use cases, success stories, is verification and validation. To derive out of these requirements the appropriate test cases and make sure you have the traceability between the requirements and the test cases. You have there a lot of use cases. For example, if it comes to homologation, homologation if you want to provide your product, your vehicle, not just in one market, but in 150, 200 markets, you have to do 200 times this market-specific homologation, ready to sell these products, and this have to be compliant to this requirements. So therefore, these homologation requirements, market requirements, is important. If you are doing a audit, you have the other requirements. You have always this V&V, validation and verification, always to keep the traceability between the different levels of your requirements and the test cases. Sometimes you are migrating from one ALM to next ALM. Also, in this case, AI can help you to do this not in a manual way, but in a assistant way for this data migration. So this V&V and this migration and all these areas of use cases, we can use AI to be much, much more efficient and to improve the quality. So what's your view along this journey?
I think what you mentioned is really, I would like to build on that. So we are working with a couple of customers from automotive and from aerospace defense, and we have started with exactly those use cases that you mentioned. So 3 use cases I can say that most of the customers that we are talking to are having. One is if you start with first the requirement validation or authoring, right? Because the products are getting complex, we need even the compliance support, and while validating requirements. Second is the test case generation, which you mentioned. So creating test cases out of requirements. So there we are doing like AI powered test case generation, where we are supporting engineers to determine the edge test cases using AI. And the third one, or I would say also one of the most important ones and tricky ones, is traceability. Because nowadays it's so complex, we have so many tools working together, we have so many ALM tools, PLM tools, and many other tools. So traceability is a key aspect, and I think to have the compliance to be audit ready, for all those things we are using AI for these 3 things, or majorly these 3 use cases that we see nowadays, that companies are doing. And I will tell you one of the customer where we were working at. So we had an audit at that customer. It's an automotive supplier, and they had, like, for example, thousands of requirement specifications, and we had the audit in 2 months. So what happened, we said, like, 4 people sat there, they were just going through each and every requirement to see if it's using the correct words, shall, must, those kind of things. Then we checked, hey, if the compliance is there, like from if it was ISO 26262. So all those things, like 4 people just sitting there 2 months trying to get audit ready. And this we reduced to not even days. So we finished like 8 to 10 hours. We could go through all the requirements and give a summary of what needs to be changed. And then we worked on that. So this is one of the use cases that was very, very useful for them from the time perspective. And we also made sure that we generate a report about traceability and everything using AI. So I think that was kind of really interesting for the use cases. But so Sigi, based on what you just said and what I described, what do you think, if a company wants to start now investing in AI or in AI projects, how should they start? How should they go about it?
Like mentioned, we have 2 areas. We have the hard facts and the soft facts. Hard facts is more the processes, the methods, the tools, and definitely I have to prepare this one. But first of all, I would start with the soft part. And this means what I recognizing here in Germany in many, many companies, there is fear. There is fear, and fear is stopping innovation. So therefore, we have to start with, I would call it, awareness programs to kill the fear, to establish motivation, to train people what's in for me, not just what's in for the company, but involve people and what could be my role? How could I use in my daily business? How can I use the AI? Not whatever super sophisticated, but what's in for me? How can I start in my environment? And for this, I need trainings. I need the right tools, but stay focused. Stay focused means I like lighthouse project approach. Not to start everything, but just start with a prioritization from a value perspective and just grab the top 3 of them. Focus on this. Build a, I would call it, core team. A core team, they are dedicated. They have they have enough resources to focus. Give them the freedom, focus the right tool set, and let them start the 3 priority 1 projects. But then with the right tooling, with the right processes and methods, with again, like the hamburger, we need both. We need the buy-in from the president, from the board, but we need at the same time the acceptance of the team. So therefore, like a hamburger, the bread comes from both sides, from the top and from the bottom, and to create there the value in between. With this lighthouse projects, with the right technologies, not to change everything, to change the whole IT landscape. No, that's not important. But in a good way to integrate AI in existing tools, IT landscapes, and do this in a good way, in a smart way.
So I think that that's very important what you said. Say integrating it into your existing tool chain rather than replacing something, right? So I think to that point, what you mentioned for the implementation perspective, lighthouse project. So I remember we are working with a customer, a huge automotive supplier, and they have this kind of a project where they say, hey, we want to set up a lighthouse project for AI, where they want to go with again those 3 use cases. But one use case is they add on top of it saying that I want to see how much value it generates, and it should be measurable. It's not like you have value. So if you are implementing doing a lighthouse project, at the end there should be a measurable value that comes out of it.
That's my 30-12 ready story.
Exactly, yes. So that's why what we did is for all the validations, all the test case generation and traceability, we gave the engineers the option to rate how AI performed there. So for example, there was some validation for AI with the compliance. So we gave, okay, once the results were there, the engineer was able to say yes or no. So we got their feedback. So from that, at the end, we generated a report to see how many people are effectively using AI, or what is the value that company has gotten from that. So that was also a really important part of the AI Lighthouse project that we did. So just, so that's why I think it's very important. So what do you think, Sigi, what you just mentioned, if we had to summarize that in a way that from a business standpoint, what are the key takeaways from the business side standpoint?
So first, what is hindering me? That means attack fear. So understand why do they have fear, and with information, with communication, with proactive involvement, involve the people. Come up with the right team, and like said, I would start with a central core team, but then shape it like, I call it an onion model. So there is a core team in the middle, and then we have a second and a third layer, and I'm a fan of communities, information flow, involve them, and start with success stories, and talk about success. Talk about success stories with your 3 priority 1 cases, and communicate. Whenever I have done big changes, sometimes I made the mistake to underestimate the power of communication. I thought it's okay once to inform, once to communicate. That was one of my biggest mistakes I have done in the past, to underestimate communication and collaboration. So involve the people, share success regularly, not one time, but involve them regularly, give them the right tools, easy to use, not very complicated. I call it radical simplification, and support them, show them what's in for me, overcome the fear. And I would say at the end, it's mindset. I call it digital mindset, and especially it's courage. I would go for courage and start not in the future, start now. Start simple, start fast, and then grow.
I think that's exactly fits to what we are doing here as with our customer. Starting fast, get the feedback and improve it. So and keep it simple. That's the most important thing. Keep it simple. So I always like to say AI isn't perfect, but AI is useful. Okay, and what does that mean is you cannot expect AI to replace engineers and do all the other stuff, but AI can assist you. AI can be useful, and I always give the example of this GPS system, right? GPS system is useful. It's not perfect. It's still there, but we all are using GPS system in our cars, even though it's not 100% perfect, but it's useful. And same way we should see AI when we are using AI in requirements engineering for validation, authoring, and that's so I think.
And I guess you used the right term. I love this assistant.
Assistant.
Assistant means not forcing, not over engineering, but support the human beings.
Yes.
Support the experts in their daily work and do it simple.
Yes, exactly. Now I see exactly the same way, and this is what we are noticing also with our customers. And this assisting is the main important thing. So the question I also get, hey, is AI there to replace engineers? Never. So only thing that we are focusing or AI is focusing on, take away the repetitive work, the time intensive work, so that engineers can be more creative and work on important things than doing those kind of things. So with that, I think thank you, Sigi, and Justin, I would like to give it over to you to, I think we are done with now, and we will like to give it to you for the Q&A session.
Thank you, Manan and Ziggy, for this great discussion. And as you said, now is the time for the questions from the audience. We already have some questions. Let me look at them. The first one, what are the biggest challenges in adoption of AI and what to avoid?
Okay, let me take this one.
Yes.
Challenges. Like said, one of the biggest challenges is mindset. I fear, oh, this is something, I don't know who goes the, no, give them orientation, give them information, involve them, start with, let's say, this kind of awareness. Therefore, wrong mindset. Wrong mindset is one of the challenges. Or, oh, where should I start? So many ideas, but how should we start? How should we measure? Therefore, I would focus on start with the high priority value cases, follow success stories. So reference cases are always helpful, and then measure the success. Not just do it, but do it in a focused way along value cases and measure the value along the 3 dimensions: its time and cost and quality. Another challenge is, do I really have the freedom? So I love the idea of provide a core team, give them, let's say, 100% the time. So it's not a part-time, it's not 10% of their daily work. Give them the freedom to focus for the core team. But what I also have seen a challenge, then we have AI and not AI. So to split, this is also not a good way, just to involve them, give them the chance to use the tools, the easy to use tools, not the complicated, not the over engineer, not the too complicated. As said, radical simplification. Perhaps I have my iPhone, also there the apps and the access to this assistant, the tools, the AI assistant tools, make it simple to use. And start with the first success and then do the next and next and next levels. So start not in the future, start now.
Yes, I think I totally agree, and that's what we also did in, like I mentioned the customer before. So we really started saying, hey, we don't need anything. We just want to start with validation, and that's it. So we did the validation, how AI can support in requirements validation, and after getting a couple of loops, with that project, getting the feedback, putting it in, and at that time, then we thought that was a huge improvement, and we got so much value. And then we went to the second use case where we started working on the test case generation. We are still at test case generation, so we are going step by step, but having the adoption, and people feel that it's valuable. It's not just because AI is today there, so I have to use it, but it should generate the value and it should be helpful to the people, I think.
Okay, so thank you. The second question, let me ask you, do I need to change or replace my existing tools to implement AI in my landscape?
Let me go first. Perhaps you have also your view. From my perspective, I mean, it depends on the case. It depends on the use case. It depends on the domain. But like already said, my idea, my approach is not to substitute, to change dramatically the system. But my idea is to continue using your tool chain, but integrate in a smart way the AI. Like I like the term of assistant, AI assistant. So integrate this AI assistance in existing IT landscape. Sometimes you have to change partially. Sometimes you have to migrate also to the next tooling. But in general, I would say stay with the IT landscape and extend where it makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. No, I totally agree. So it's all about integration as well at the end. So that's why we also recommend customers when we go and we are implementing when we are implementing our tools for AI, we don't say that, hey, from today you use this tool. It's like, what is your tool chain? What are the other tools you have? And then we integrate in such a way that the workflow and everything remains the same workflow. I mean, integration into the existing workflow. And I think that's very important, because you're not there to change everything how people are working. We want to help them, assist them, and make their work faster and efficient. So I think, I totally agree with
you
that.
do not have the money, I mean, to change everything.
Yes, exactly.
Value creation.
Thank you. And now the next question. Most ALM have traceability tools. How would AI improve this? Or how did you specifically improve it in the audit example you mentioned?
Yes. So basically, they were using ALM tools, but the thing is, their different departments were using different ALM tools. So the example which I mentioned, so we had integrated different tools and had the AI run through, or our AI tool run over the integration, so that we were able to get the traceability across the system. So we were even able to find out in a couple of cases, okay, this requirement could belong to this. So we showed them like you said, the assistance that could be the test cases that belong. So, and then someone was there to approve it. So we did not just create the tracing, but we helped them see that, okay, this requirement could be linked to, in other system, these 4 things, or to these 8 test cases. So these were a couple of things that we did, and it was tool independent. So they had 2 different tools that time, and many organizations have even more than 2 tools for this ALM, because they are different business units. So we focus on the integration with the help of AI, as well as then the validation.
But again, I would say radical simplification.
Yes.
This I've seen many times. For the same functionality, we have overlapping tools.
Yes.
Of course, we have to manage complexity, but first we have to reduce complexity. And my very first step would be the check question: can we reduce, simplify the IT landscape because of overlapping functionalities? And if we have done a target landscape, an easier landscape, a unique landscape, then to use the right integration.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You
okay,
have one
thank
more?
you. Yeah, 2 more. Okay, we have. I know that we don't have a lot of time, but 2 more questions I have in the queue. So let me ask you: which tool did you use to achieve the faster review of the recs, which Manan mentioned?
So we have a tool called, what we use is AeroTrace AI. So the idea of behind that tool was, it started as the name suggests, AeroTrace, with the traceability, right? So the whole idea was to have traceability among different systems. And then we were good at creating traceability, we were good at creating digital thread, and we thought, hey, what the missing piece was now the AI, in that how we can assist engineers more to achieve more in less time. And that was the tool that basically that we use for validation and all those things that I mentioned before.
Okay.
And even for dashboards, actually. So this was also one of the cases where customer asked us to, hey, I want to see, now we have integrated 3 tools, I don't want to go into each tool, I want to have from one place my access to all those things in one dashboard. And then also we created a dashboard which was getting the data and using AI to generate couple of traceability reports, basically.
Okay, thank you. I guess it will be the last one question. Where can I see this AI solution live?
So I think the best way is we should have the demo page on our website, so you can just go there and register for the demo, and I think our team will get in touch with you to just go through your use case basically and show you what is possible today and what we have achieved so far with other customers.
Okay, thank you, Ziggy and Manan, for your answers. We covered a few questions today, and we'll follow up with responses to the remaining ones via email. But if you have any questions later about AI, about requirements engineering to Ziggy or to Manan, feel free to contact us. So thank you once again, Ziggy and Manan, for this great discussion. And thank you all for your participation. And I hope to see you at the next Arorian Technologies webinar.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Justina and the whole audience, thank you so much for listening, and rock it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.